Julie,
Nick,
how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you doing? It's great to see you.
Likewise, likewise. What's new?
Well, I don't know. Happy New Year. I mean, other than that, like we, we got good snow here last week in Jackson, which is good. We needed that. I don't know what's new with you. How's the market?
Ooh, market's been changing. And so last year was a challenging year for us and the market. When we compare it to 2019, it's up by all measures, right? Sales volume, number of units, average unit price, price per square foot, but it's we got spoiled the last few years.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, we all did. I think we all did.
Where are you located right now?
I'm in Jackson Hole.
You're in
So I'm
Jackson.
at home. Yep. Yeah. So which is pretty nice.
So
So,
what we're doing is this is just you and I talking,
okay.
and that's basically it. So we're talking, we're recording, and it's that easy.
That's fantastic. Well, I mean, that's low maintenance. I love it. Well,
Very
you
low
know,
maintenance.
it's so funny. So Matt was just telling me, he was like, at the height of COVID, this market did 850 transactions. Um, in last year, we did 300, just to kind of contrast. 2022, which was still a super strong year, we did 400. So it's incredible. Like when you talk about getting spoiled, I mean, it's been kind of a wild ride. But now I'm seeing you everywhere. I mean, with like new developments. I mean, you guys are kind of killing it.
Yeah, we've been extremely busy with our development division, and we've been taking on new projects, very big projects, and it's a lot of marketing, a lot of exposure. It's a lot of our time, big focus. But it's a long term relationship. It's not like taking a single family home listing and putting it on the MLS and doing an open house. It's like it's a full ordeal, and
It
and
is.
with
It's more like a marriage. It's more like a marriage because you can date. Like with listings like that, like the transactions happen, kind of date. But like when you're with a developer, I mean, it's the whole cycle because you go through like the pre-construction. You go through. I mean, you kind of feel it with them.
Yeah. Well, for those that don't know who you are, do you want to give everyone a little bit of a background, where you're from, how long you've been in the industry?
Sure, sure. So I'm Julie Faupel. I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. My husband and I started a real estate company here in Jackson 17 years ago, and sold that 2.5 years ago. We are from the Midwest originally, so I'm from Michigan originally. So if you hear a little bit of I can, if I reference like a casserole or something like that, like my Midwest kind of comes out. But no, we've lived in Jackson for the last 21 years. I have been in the business for 17 years. And before that, I was in luxury hospitality. So I got to run luxury hotels kind of all over the country and consult on some projects all over the world. And so, but I think most recently I founded a real estate membership called Realm. And so that's kind of been my passion project over the last 5 years, was building out a technology platform and then building a virtual community of the top real estate professionals globally. So it's been a lot of fun, but it's kind of taking all of that knowledge and information and all of that data that we all gather over the years and kind of putting that together in a place where we can all benefit from it.
And when you had that idea 5 years ago, or was it more, because it was the idea and it had to incubate and bring on partners? And I mean, how do you go from selling luxury real estate for many years in Jackson and then going into building a membership?
Well, I think, it's funny because the idea was around for a long time, because it was one of those things when you think about my background in luxury hospitality, I loved the fact that you got to be a part of something, like it was the culmination of a year of hard work and a family vacation. It was a busy business traveler and, being able to afford themselves, kind of a respite after a long day. And so I could always replicate somebody's stay because of the technology. You could always replicate somebody's stay. Like Mrs. Gotrocks, if she was staying in Paris or in Dubai or in New York City, we knew enough about her to know, okay, she likes apples and not oranges. She likes cold white wine and turn down at 6 p.m. And we could do that for her wherever she was. And so then you fast forward as I transitioned into luxury real estate. And, the difference is that, we didn't have any of that information, but the spend was in some cases millions of times more than what they were spending on hotels and on vacations. And so I kind of started to say to myself, why are we operating in such silos that we can't really serve these clients, to the best of our ability? Why can't we collaborate more? Why can't we kind of drop some of those barriers to communication? And so as that was kind of germinating in my brain, it took a few years of just kind of actually, Nick, it was like vetting it in people's living rooms, where I would kind of like, we'd go and sit down with our clients and, talk about what we're going to do for them when we're listing their property or we're out for dinner and, talking about the services that we provide and how we're, doing things better or different. And so I would kind of say, well, wouldn't it be neat if you had something where all of your preferences were recorded somewhere and then, and colleagues were actually, collaborating on how to best serve you. Or, if you could know about a new piece of inventory before anyone else because it was all in this kind of one centralized location. And so as the clients started to give feedback, it was like, oh, okay, wait, now we're on to something here. And I kind of became obsessed with it and started building it and because I really felt like the industry needed to change. And so, I've been fortunate to be able to kind of maintain my real estate career and maintain my clients. And, I work with my husband, who's an incredible partner. And so as we've been building out Realm, it's kind of like, boy, there are a lot of people that think about the business just like we do, that kind of pride in service, that excellence is a lifestyle. And so the Realm community started to just evolve based on kind of finding people of that same ethos.
And how many people did you originally start with?
So, well, that's I mean, in all fairness, when we started, so we had our brokerage, which was we had about 120 agents that were working with us. And then we had a couple of other brokerages that were kind of on board. And so the numbers looked, kind of bigger, but as we kind of evolved the business model, what we realized was that what we're after is really that top 1% of real estate professionals globally. And so we now have 600 members that are in 40 different states and 18 countries, and it's all individual. And so rather than saying, okay, we've got, we had 120 brokers from our brokerage and then another 60 from another brokerage, we really took a step back and said, you know what, this needs to be by invitation only. It really needs to be based on the merits of the individual top producers and what they're doing and kind of what they're bringing to the industry. And then let's not focus on any one singular brand. And so we have 150 different brands that actually have that are represented within the Realm membership. And so it speaks a lot to, what works for one top producer might not work for another, but why would we be the ones that would profess to know that? I mean, you're the expert at your business, so you should have all of the tools that help you to kind of foster and grow that way.
No, that's fantastic. And you mentioned 18 countries. What are some of the countries?
So, well, let's see, we have France, we have England, we have, lots we've got, of course, the Caribbean, Mexico, a lot of it. Well, like, as you're a perfect example, Nick, where we kind of said, we really didn't intend to grow globally until this year, but we also had people that we just could not say, they were going to be so additive to the membership that we just went ahead and said, you know what, let's just do this and kind of figure it out as we go. And you're a perfect example of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you guys do something that I'm really impressed with. Every week there's a membership call, and I'm amazed at how many people connect every single week.
It's incredible. I mean, that was never part of the business model. And it's so funny because when we started, Realm launched on March 1st of 2020. So 2 weeks before COVID, 2 weeks before everything kind of shut down. And I said, I think we need to get everybody on a call. Like anybody that's been interested in Realm, let's just get everybody on a call and talk about what are we going to do? Like, what does this look like? I mean, when are we ever going to be in a similar situation to this where we're all experiencing quarantine and a global pandemic together? Like we need to kind of band together. And I had people say, you know what, Julie, it'll never work. And so we did the first call, and I think 150 people showed up, and now 4 years later we've missed. So we do about 50 calls a year. And now, I mean, we'll have as many as 200 on the call, which is, I mean, that's a third of our membership, which is crazy.
Yeah. No, it's hard, with sales agents in your own office to get people to show up or connect on a virtual Zoom call. You end up getting maybe half if you're lucky.
That's right. That's exactly right. But it's still, so the challenge is, of course, then what are we doing every week to kind of make it more relevant and to really make sure that we're providing takeaways for people they're like, you know what, I can't miss this because this makes my business better.
Examples. What are those things?
So it's everything. I mean, so we've got a strategic partnership with Gagano, which is, I mean, those beautiful luxury kitchens and appliances that you see. And so they will help us. I mean, they've got an amazing partnership with Michelin. And so we had a couple of executives from Michelin come in and talk to us about, what it means to have, a Michelin star rating. What is that for a chef? What does that mean for a restaurant? What does that mean? Now they're rating hotels. And so what does that mean for hotels? And so from our perspective, one, it's interesting and you want to be diverse in kind of some of your knowledge base, but then two, how can I go back to a developer and say, hey, I know what it takes now. Here's the difference between, having a Michelin rating and not, on your flagged property, or here's what this looks like, or I've got a connection at Michelin and we can ask them some of these questions. So that's a little bit more out of the box. We've got, we'll do things like we have the Realm Review, which is where we've got members that actually go to their properties and physically present kind of a property that may have a challenging aspect to it. Maybe it's dated, maybe it's been on the market for a while, maybe it's very stylized. And so they present that to the membership, and then all of the attendees on the call chat in their feedback. And so now you can actually go to your seller and say, okay, listen, seller, I've been telling you for 6 months to paint that blue wall white. You don't have to just listen to me. Here are 150 of the top brokers in the world. Here's what they had to say, and so you get the transcript that way. And it's so powerful. And it's just kind of another layer to the services that you're able to provide. And I think as much as that seller might not have wanted to hear that they need to paint the wall, it does give them the peace of mind that, like, you do have the most powerful network in the world. You are using it. And this is a perfect example of how, so that's pretty cool. And then we've got some new media initiatives coming out this year that are going to kind of take that call to even the next level, which will be pretty fun.
The Realm Review, I wasn't familiar with that. That's aside from the weekly Wednesday call?
It does it so we just branded it separately, but it's on those calls.
Okay. I'm so busy, I rarely connect, but at least one person on my team is able to in my absence.
Yeah, no, it's great though. And I think a lot of people are doing that now too, where they're like, okay, look, you have one designated person from your team, because we're all out doing things, I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing. If we're just sitting in front of a Zoom, that's maybe not our highest and best use. But if we've got a teammate, or, I mean, the other thing is now with AI, I mean, you can have the notes taken for you and then action steps right from the notes. But, I mean, we see that more and more now, just because I think everybody's getting more efficient efficient with their time and kind of learning how to use the community to the best of their ability as well.
So some of the new connections that you've made as a result of Realm and members, any memorable stories?
They're all memorable, Nick. I mean, it's like the biggest cast of characters you could possibly meet, you know? I mean, so it's to me, there's a book that I mean, at some point we're going to have a ghostwriter that's going to come and write a book about our members and like, because everybody's story is different. Everybody's kind of, I mean, it is really the work ethic and the grit and, kind of just the discipline that it takes to operate at this very high level for a sustained amount of time is so fascinating to me. And I just think that there's such a great story there. But I think the one, we actually had a dinner party. We had some clients that were here that were a referral from some other Realm members. So those Realm members were here. And then we had another friend that's a broker and from another market that was also here. And so it ended up being like these poor people had been out looking at real estate in Jackson Hole all day. And then they came to our house and I was just like, well, listen, I don't know if this is fair or not. There are like 8 real estate professionals here. Like, if we can't get them to convert to contract, then we've got bigger problems. But it was such a fun evening because it ended up being these were terrific clients and they went on to buy just an absolutely beautiful property, but they were so open and so kind of just informative about how, what they're looking at, how they buy real estate, how they, kind of how they've transacted. And it was just such an engaging and fun evening that, I mean, to me, that's kind of what it's all about, these smaller meetups, and now we're seeing that this year too, with like, we've got all of these little pockets of Realm members that want to get together. Like I was in Chicago last week. We had 17 people at lunch there that were all Realm members. We have another one on Wednesday in Miami with like another 20 people that are Realm members. And like that's the most meaningful thing where it's like, gosh, this really is, all of the programming and technology and everything else aside, the fact that people are connecting kind of on an individual basis and then, sustaining friendships and, working relationships and lots of businesses getting done, like that's pretty incredible.
I like it from the perspective of meeting, like you were saying, you see everyone is like a rock star in your local area, your silo, your geography, but there are thousands of Julie Faupels in other markets. And then to meet those people and to hear and see what they're doing the same and what they're doing differently, more importantly, the differently, and
Yeah.
getting new ideas and connecting with clients that, you're in ski country, I'm in beach country. And so a lot of our clients like to ski and get in the water and fish and go yachting and things like that. And so there's a lot of connections that you otherwise wouldn't make if you weren't a part of Realm.
That's so true, and I think the thing that is amazing is the group of people that have kind of come together and you said it, Nick, it's like the stuff that they're like, we all kind of do the same things to some degree. It's like the same formula, but then the things that people are doing that are different, that are like mind blowing, where you're just like, oh my gosh, how did you get so good at this job? And I think that's the inspiration is like when they really, when you really think about it, it's that sharing and that willingness to share. Cause I think in this industry for a long time, it was kind of an industry where the dinosaurs kind of killed the young, it was not a place that was necessarily friendly. And so people didn't want to share information. They didn't want to, let you in on their trade secrets. And I think when you get to a certain level, I mean, you and I know, Nick, there's no real secret, there isn't, there isn't. So it's more about like, gosh, if I can help make somebody else better, then that will get paid forward. And that kind of information and bandwidth and generosity of spirit just gets amplified. I mean, from that, you look at, I mean, just some of the, like you mentioned, some of the calls and just some of the sharing that happens, whether it's in person or, I mean, now we have people doing co-listings kind of internationally, where you've got somebody, we've got somebody in Toronto co-listing with somebody in Austin, Texas, and they're representing a development in Puerto Vallarta. Like that's incredible. And it's like that's where the industry is going. And we get to see it kind of firsthand because we're with those thought leaders so much.
Well, because of Realm, you connected us with your good friends, the Dolans in San Miguel de Allende, and we're co-listing a project in San Miguel de Allende.
I
That's
love that. I love that. That
yeah.
I mean, I knew though, like so, and that's the kind of thing though, too, where you're like, when you're a connector, I mean, like you kind of have to be in this business. When we met you, when Matt and I met you in Cabo a few years ago, we were like, this is somebody that they go together. These are going to be fast friends. And so it's fun to see that then come to fruition.
Yeah, Jim was taking me out, seeing the competition, and it was fun to just spend time as kind of like a client almost, right? Doing a property tour in an area that I don't know very well, but it's just, I was connected with the developer in Cabo that's doing a project in San Miguel de Allende. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, there's a huge second home real estate market in another town in Mexico. And his stories are a lot like my stories, and and they have more experience than me. They've been there 27 years.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, but it's like, but together. So then you look at what they're doing and kind of their focus and kind of Jim, as more of development minded, coming together with your development mind. I mean, that's super powerful. I mean, there isn't going to be another kind of value proposition that looks like that for your client.
No, no, and it's because how long would it take for me to learn a new area? It would take me a decade at least, right? And so it's much better to partner with someone that has that local experience, figure out what I do very well, and combine forces and have the synergy to better represent a development or an individual listing. That's what I get really charged about because, like you were saying, we connect people.
Yes.
We were just getting started in our real estate careers. It was connecting buyers and sellers. Now we're connecting on a much bigger scale and a global scale with.
Mhm. Well, I mean, you look at the developer that you're representing, right? And so they would have had to go through, look at the efficiency in working with you so that they don't have to go through and vet somebody else. You've done that for them. And
Mhm.
so that they can focus on their project and on, what they're good at. And so, I think that that's a lot of times, people don't look at it like, oh gosh, networking is efficient, but it is, it's so powerful because it just cuts through all the nonsense and you go right to kind of who is best in class. Okay, that's who I'm going to work with. They know you, they trust you, they know how you work, and all you're doing is kind of taking your skill set and laying that endorsement over the Dolans or whomever else you select to kind of partner with going forward. It's fabulous. It's how it should work.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of our clients, the luxury clients, are buying and selling real estate in many different parts of the world. And so if you have those connections, they might use you, Julie, to buy and sell real estate in Mexico, in Europe, just because they like how you work and you know how to ask the questions of another real estate professional.
That's right. No, it's that trust mark. I mean, it's the thing when you think about the industry and kind of the way that we had been forced to do things for a long time. It was like, we all built these incredible networks, but we didn't really have any way of deploying them, of really putting them into action. And so now, you build your reputation in your marketplace, you work with these people and get to know them so well. I mean, you are part of something that is a very special and unique part of their lives, whether it's a primary residence in their first home or or they're celebrating something and they're buying a vacation home in fabulous Cabo. Like it's there. So then why wouldn't you have somebody that kind of helps to guide you through each, that knows you well, each, wherever that journey takes you. The way that we'd been forced to do things before, it felt counterintuitive.
I was just on a listing appointment right before this meeting, this podcast, and it's a multi-million dollar property. And the owner, very rarely are you meeting with the owner. You're meeting with their assistant or their manager. And the interesting questions is like, do you sell real estate in Mexico City? Do you have an office in Mexico City? And I didn't realize why the question. They thought the buyer of their house was going to come from Mexico City, but no, because they own two condos at the Ritz-Carlton that they're considering on selling. So it's like to have that connection and to be able to represent a client across all of their real estate is super powerful.
Oh yeah, without it. Well, and I think too, it's oftentimes like, they don't realize that we can help them in those ways. Or you've got an investor client that is they're location agnostic. All they care about is that if it will return 6% or better, as far as a cap rate is concerned, they're excited to see that. And so the more that we can kind of expose them to those things, or with a new development, the more you can say, all right, so I'm going to load this new development up into Realm and get proof of pricing and kind of velocity of sales before it ever hits the general market is powerful. I mean, it's those kinds of things that we should be able to do. And now we can.
I'm really excited about the future of Realm, and I'm proud to be a member for a few years now. In closing, Julie, because Realm is a luxury real estate network of agents, membership based, what does luxury mean to you?
Such a good question. So, to me, luxury is being surrounded by amazing people that I love and respect, and being able to share experiences and just kind of feel that embrace. I mean, I think that that's kind of like it's. I think it's, I mean, luxury can be a lot of different things, but to me, it's like I would take all of my friends on vacation with me if I had all the money in the world. Like
Right.
I love that. I'm a people collector, and so I just think there's a great luxury in being surrounded by amazing people.
And it's ideal that you're the founder of Realm, which connects people and creates a community. And I appreciate you being a guest on the podcast. And I know a number of our clients, especially developers, are going to enjoy listening to this one.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure, Nick. I mean, thank you. You were amongst the first to kind of share the vision. And so thank you for helping to elevate this industry, and for being such an incredible part of my life and a part of Realm.
Thank you, Julie. All right, everyone. And until the next one, bye for now. That's it. We're done.
That was so easy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate, and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.